Shalom people, this is Brother Lyles coming at you with another video. And there is a ton of false teachers and false prophets out there today, as it always has been. Paul told Timothy in the book of 2 Timothy 4:3, he told Timothy that there would come a time that people would heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. And that started back then. That started back during the time of Yeshua, because Yeshua had said that the prince of this world is undone. So from that time until now, Satan has multiplied false teachers, false prophets, false prophecies. And so we know that the biggest one is definitely Roman Catholicism, but from Roman Catholicism, which had many daughters, you had Protestantism, and you had Islam that rose up. So it's nothing new. But what happened with this awakening is, I think that people came into, and I don't even like using the word came into, because as I said to you, I know that this thing that was called, Eurocentric Christianity was not, right, even before I knew who I was. So, me and my wife both, we went back and reread a lot of the things that we have been taught, and came to understand different things. And so coming into understanding that we are the people, to me, was just an addition to us waking up about different things. The way to know truth is to know Yeshua, who is the way, the truth, and the light. And if you have had that, you are in the truth. You have always been in the truth. But just like Peter knew Yeshua. He knew the way, the truth, and the light. But we know that it was hid from him and some of the apostles, the understanding that to the Gentiles, Yah was gonna share this message too. So to a certain extent, their understanding was darkened in their area until it was opened up to them by the Father. And so it's the same with us that were born again, that had understood that religion does not save you, and that we were trying to get to better know Yeshua and know the truth. And in doing that, he, as you can handle the amount of light that you already have, will give you more light on different things. What the false teachers and false prophets come to do is to shine a false light, a false illumination. That's why Satan's first name was Lucifer, the light reflector. He was not bearing any light himself. He was reflecting the light of the Most High. The eternal Godhead was reflecting off of him and made him seem to to shine with that coat of many colors or whatever that he had, according to the book of Ezekiel, when it said that every precious stone was part of his garment, and that the light of the Most High, the Godhead, reflected off of that as he was singing and doing whatever he was doing. So these false teachers and false prophets a lot of times are going to shine more in understanding what I'm saying, going to shine more brightly, seemingly, than the true prophets and teachers of Yah. You understand? Because if we are to follow the pattern that Yeshua had, he said that he was of no reputation, and that he himself, he masked the illumination that he could have been given off, and that was shown when he went into the Mount of Transfiguration, that if Yeshua could have walked around the way that he actually should have appeared, then people would have been drawn to that. But he wanted them to be drawn not from his sight of him. He wanted them to be drawn to what he was saying. He wanted them to believe the teachings for the teaching's sake only. That's why he told the Pharisees when he said, if you don't believe me, believe the works that you see me do. Don't, he said, the flesh profiteth nothing. But this heaping of teachers, this is why in the different assemblies and different things, they went into wearing certain garments. They went into here comes somebody walking. They went into building the pulpits and putting them at a certain angle so that when the doors would be open, the sunlight would beam down through the stained glass windows onto that speaker, that teacher, that prophet, and seemingly give them a heavenly aura about them, so that when they was teaching, the people would be more drawn to the outward. And so in this awakening, it's been those that know the Hebrew, the Greek, and there really ain't no difference than in the Christian church, because it was a lot of people that was drawn off into the Word of Faith movement and from black churches in the 70s, because these cats were teaching Christian Science rehashed, E.W. Kenyon metaphysics, which they actually had plagiarized. It was shown. I used to study that stuff a lot. The Word Faith movement plagiarized a lot of stuff from E.W. Kenyon, positive thought, positive thinking. And then what you had was, you start having some of our people, some of our teachers and ministers and people that got off into this, where Fred Price came in, Faith Temple, there in Crenshaw. And so coming into the awakening has been the same thing. People drawn off to themselves, a group, and these people multiplying. And it has always been that there will always be more false prophets and false teachers than it would be the actual, real, false, true teachers and true prophets. It's always been that way. You can look at, 1 Kings 18, verses 17 through 19, where Elijah went up against the prophets of Baal and the prophets of the groves, 400 and 450 against one man. That's why he felt that way when he said, I alone as a prophet. Even though Yah had hidden 7,000 that hadn't needed Baal. That does not necessarily mean that all 7,000 were prophets, but I'm pretty sure within that group there were prophets, but for the most part they were hidden. They were hidden. And so it is the same in any time that Yah is waking up this people. This is not the only period that Yah has been trying to waken his people. It's not. And this is not the only period that, like I said, that we've had false preachers, false prophets, false teachers. It's always been that way. It's always been that way. It's only been, look at this. How many prophets do you read about in canon? You understand? Now, understand there were other prophets besides those that wrote a book, but I'm saying it's not been that many people that Yah has spoke through and had it put down on paper that you need to read the writings of these men and these women. It's not been that many, because that's why you can go into, if they still have them, because in a lot of places you don't even see Christian bookstores anymore, but you can go to the Christian bookstore or go online and see you got, from the time that Yeshua died, resurrected, and then ascended, there's been so many different books written by different teachers, prophets, and people that you can make a library, a big library of all the books that have been written. And one of the things I always thought was amazing to me was the fact that Yeshua never wrote down anything except when you seen him writing in the dirt when the woman was caught in an adultery, in the act of adultery. But he himself never wrote anything down and then gave it to his apostles. Now he did teach them, and they wrote down what he said, but he himself never wrote a book. But there have been more books written by him than any person in history. No one has had that many books written by them, and a lot of those books and things that were written by him were written by false prophets and false teachers. And so this awakening is not any different. You're gonna have people writing down, preaching, and all these other times that they're prophesying that are false. It's always gonna be only a handful out there that's really, really, truly for the truth to get out. So we got to take the admonition that Paul gave to Timothy serious. He said people would not endure sound doctrine, but would heap these different teachers. And this again has been metastasizing since the time of the apostles until now. And so these false prophets and false teachers, they have it down pat. They have a modus operandi that they go by. And so anytime you have any kind of time when Yah is trying to wake his people up, they're gonna pop up, and they're gonna outnumber the ones that speaking the truth. You know, and how do you know? You gotta study to show yourself approved unto Yah, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. You gotta know. You gotta know that word for yourself, and that's why all these people that's quote unquote coming over from Christianity and all these different things are being deceived, right? Because even when they were in Christianity, there were false preachers and false teachers and false prophets that they were probably following there, right? And so I'm glad that before I came into understanding all this, you know, I had already developed for myself and for my family that I'm not gonna lie, when I first came into understanding who we were the people, I was listening to some people. Then, you know, I later on I had to retract my some of the things that I heard them teach, that because they, you know, I hadn't heard them yet and studied them yet, I you know, they kind of appealed to me, you know, like the thing of, you know, Esau being a white man, and also the thing of, you know, King James was a black man, the Willie Lynch letter, all this stuff. I mean, and I've come to understand that, you know, a lot of these books and stuff that we you know, people were putting out there about that wasn't. Some wasps flying around here, so I might hightail it out here if they come this way, but that's not true. And going back and studying it for myself, see, it's not true. Same thing with the Willie Lynch letter, you know, and you know, come to find out that the book is real, but the person Willie Lynch never existed. Now, but the things that was in the book Willie Lynch actually did happen to our ancestors, but it was all put together apparently by a black professor in the 1970s. So, like I said, study to show yourself approved. But it's been more than many times that the Most High has tried to wake his people up. And when I say his people, I'm talking about both Hebrew and Gentile, that he has tried to wake them up. But if you look in the book of, going back to that book of 1 Kings, the 18th chapter, you see where Elijah was confronted with the false prophets, so many that were outnumbered in him, that he said the Elohim that answers by fire, that's gonna be him. Now we know later on that Yah came in a still small voice and tried to show Elijah that he don't answer just by fire. But I would say the way that we're gonna be able to start distinguishing who is the false and who is the real is that we're gonna start seeing the Yah that answers by fire, that Yah is going to create the conditions where the only answer is going to come from his true teachers and prophets. And if you see in the 18th chapter what Elijah did to make it patently clear that he was the true prophet of Yah, is when it came time for his offering to be offered. He, first of all, he, built the altar with the 12 stones representing all 12 tribes. He laid the wood in order. He laid the bullock and, in order. He cut it up just the right way. But then what he started doing, he started dousing it with water. He didn't douse it with water one time. He didn't douse it with water 2 times. He doused it with water 3 times. Why did he do it? Well, the revelation for me came, 2 revelations dealing with him dousing that sacrifice with water 3 times. To me, because he said he laid the wood in order. So everything was in order. Everything was according to the law. It was in order. But then he doused it with water. What does water do? Water logs the thing so that the fire cannot come. And I thought about how many different times that our people have tried to rise up. We thought we had things in order after the Civil War and after Reconstruction, right? I mean, during Reconstruction, our people were rising up. And then at the end of Reconstruction, which I think Reconstruction after the Civil War lasted about 12 years, and then what happened? That was our time to rise. But what happened? Water was doused on that. Because then what they did, they changed the laws. They wouldn't let black people vote. They kicked the senators and black senators and congressmen and all the governors and people out. Water was doused on Reconstruction. But then I think about our people coming into the time when the Black Wall Streets were building up. They were building up. Remember in the late 1800s, early 1900s, we had all these Black Wall Streets all around Durham, North Carolina, Wilmington. Black men were coming back from World War I. They had got to fight for this country. They were feeling good about themselves. They knew how to defend their families and all these things. What happened? You had Red Summer. You had all these different things. You had the rise of lynching. Water was doused on that again for us. Couldn't get off the ground. A couple of decades later, what happened? In the mid 1950s and 60s, we had the what? Civil rights movement. And once again, it seemed like we was on the rise again. What happened in that civil rights movement? After Martin Luther King was assassinated, after Malcolm X was assassinated, what happened? Water was doused on it. The third time we thought we was. But then, slowly but surely, we have over what happened. You start seeing some of our people trying to go over into the ways of the Caucasians, because they're thinking if you can't beat them, join them. And we almost had lost our way about who we were, not understanding the main thing that Yah had sent us into this captivity to do was to repent, to acknowledge His Son, to acknowledge what we had done, acknowledge what our ancestors had done. So you see that in the 18th chapter, after Elijah had doused the offering those 3 times, what did he start doing? He started praying unto the Most High. He started praying unto him, to Yah. He started praying to him and said he wanted Yah to let the people know that He was their Elohim, that He was the Elohim, He was the God. And what did the Bible say? He said after all these things after the spirit start falling down. I mean, in the form of the fire on the offering, it licked up. It did the impossible. It burnt up the wet, all that wet offering. It burned it up. Yah accepted it at the prayer of his true prophet Yeshua, not Yeshua, Elijah. He accepted that offering, and the Bible say after the people seen it, they repented. They repented and said, He is the Elohim. He is our Elohim. And so I'm looking at this awakening, and I'm saying, I'm thinking that this is our people appealing to Yah. Please be our Elohim again. Please be. And I'm believing that Yah is going to, not for one, because we don't have one man or one woman speaking for us, but in each person's individual life, I'm believing that the Most High is going to start answering your situation. But I believe nationally as a people, that as we notice what Elijah did. He told the people to come to me. Come to me. He said, come to the altar of Yah. That's repair. First, that's repair the altar of Yah. How will we repair the altar of Yah? We repairing the altar of Yah, which consisted of the 12 stones. We repaired it by understanding first and foremost that, hey, we are the people. We are the 12 tribes. That this book is ours. That there is no other Elohim for us but Him. And then Bible says we start doing that, so we start acknowledging that. And as Elijah directed in prayer, the prayer to him, he answered by fire. And then notice after all that, after Yah showed himself, the people accepted him and all this stuff, what happened after that in the 18th chapter of 1 Kings? It said that the 4 false prophets were destroyed from among them. Elijah said, kill them, get rid of them. I'm saying to you right now, as Yah starts manifesting Himself more and more collectively and individually among us, as we repair the broken down altars, because it was never the churches that was going to be the answer for. Don't understand what I'm saying, not talking about the people, but I'm saying the institutional organization of the quote-unquote Eurocentric church that was full of Freemasonry, Babylonianism. It never was going to be the answer for us. Neither was those Seventh-day Adventists, which although they say they keep the law, statutes, and commandments, whatever, all this stuff was Eurocentric. And understanding that it was about Yeshua anyway. It was about us rejecting Him. It was about what He said, you shall not see me again until ye say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of Yahuwah. That we have rejected Him and rejected living for Him. That as we understand that and come back to and repair the breach, that Yah would show up for us. And this is what I'm believing, that as we see these things, that you're going to see Yah. He's going to start removing the false prophets from among us. He's going to start removing the false teachers from among us. He's going to start removing them from among us, because they're not going to be able to stand when the truth comes. They're not. He's going to, those that are still into Islam, those that are still into all these other different beliefs, ideologies, He's going to start removing those out of our way. I believe that. I believe that. And that's my prayer, that He would purge the rebels from among us. So, with that, I'd like to say that I'm encouraged that although the false prophets and false teachers do outnumber us, their day of reckoning is soon. This is their time of repentance, to try to, turn away from the message that they're preaching and teaching and prophesying about. And that's all over the board. That, wherever it may be, in the you want to say Christian church or the awakening, wherever, your time is soon approached, that you're going to be taken down to the Kishon River, and the Bible said that that's where they were killed. They were stoned to death. The 850 prophets of Baal and prophets of the grove. Your time is coming real soon, so get ready. So with that, I'd like to say I want you to share this video. I'd like to tell you to give it a thumbs up. I want you to subscribe, and I want you to leave a comment. Be blessed.